The morning air was still, the kind of calm that made Sarah McKinley's skin crawl. She had returned to her childhood home in rural West Virginia after receiving a cryptic letter postmarked with no return address. The letter, scrawled in a shaky hand, simply read, "It's time to come home. The truth is in the basement." Her mother, Eleanor McKinley, had passed away 2 months prior after a long battle with illness. Sarah had planned to sell the house and move on, leaving the haunting memories of her upbringing behind. But the letter pulled her back with a sense of dread she couldn't shake. The McKinley home, nestled between the Appalachian pines, had always held an unsettling aura. The neighbors spoke in hushed tones about the family, recalling the disappearance of Sarah's younger brother, Danny, nearly 20 years ago. Sarah stepped onto the wooden porch, the boards creaking under her boots. The door creaked open, revealing a dusty interior thick with the scent of old books and mothballs. She took a deep breath and stepped inside. The living room was exactly as she remembered. Family portraits lining the walls, faded floral wallpaper curling at the edges, and her father's old recliner still facing the cold stone fireplace. Her father, Roger McKinley, had vanished years ago without a trace. Local police investigated, but no clues ever surfaced. Rumors swirled. Some claimed he ran off, others whispered darker theories. Sarah never believed he left by choice. Now, standing in the home where so much had gone wrong, the weight of her family's secrets bore down on her. She found the key to the basement door hanging on a rusted nail behind the kitchen cabinet. It had always been locked, strictly off limits. As a child, she once tried to sneak down there, but her mother had caught her and screamed like Sarah had tried to burn the house down. That incident marked the beginning of her mother's long spiral into paranoia and bitterness. Now, with trembling hands, she inserted the key and turned. The door groaned open, revealing a stairwell descending into darkness. The air was cold, unnaturally so, and the smell of damp earth and mold filled her nostrils. She clicked on her flashlight and began her descent. The basement was cluttered with old furniture, covered in sheets and cobwebs. But what drew her attention was a large, antique armoire against the far wall. Something about it felt wrong. As she approached, the beam of her flashlight flickered. She reached for the handle and pulled. Inside, she found boxes filled with photographs, newspaper clippings, and journals. One journal, bound in cracked leather, had her father's name etched on the cover. She opened it, her breath catching as she scanned the entries. They were dated the year Danny disappeared. Each page detailed a descent into madness. Roger writing about hearing voices on the walls and watching eyes behind the mirrors. One passage stood out. Danny talks to the man in the crawl space. He says he tells him secrets. But when I asked who the man was, Danny just smiled and said, "He lives in the roots under the house." I've sealed the space. It's not safe. Not for any of us. Sarah's stomach turned. She had never heard of any crawl space. She began moving boxes and old furniture until she found a hatch beneath a rotten rug. She pried it open and was hit with a blast of musty air. The crawl space was narrow and pitch black, but something compelled her to go inside. She slithered through, flashlight trembling in her grip, until she found a small chamber carved into the earth. In the center was a wooden box. Inside the box was a collection of children's drawings, Danny's name sign on each one. They were disturbing. Crude crayon sketches of a figure with elongated limbs, hollow eyes, and a mouth stretched unnaturally wide. On the back of one drawing was a message. "He watches when you sleep. He talks through the trees. He told me about what Mommy and Daddy did." Sarah backed out of the crawl space, her heart pounding. She knew there had to be more to this. She spent the next few days digging through her parents' belongings. Hidden in a false bottom of her mother's dresser, she found more journals, this time Eleanor's. Her mother had documented her own descent into fear. She believed something evil had been let into the house through Roger's obsession with old Appalachian rituals. One entry chilled Sarah to her core. Roger said the family was cursed, that his grandfather made a pact to protect the bloodline, and it required a sacrifice. When Danny started hearing the whispers, Roger took it as a sign. He said we had no choice. Sarah dropped the book and backed away. Was it true? Had her parents sacrificed Annie? Was that why her father vanished? She tried to convince herself it was just the ravings of two people lost in their own mental illness, but deep down, she knew better. That night, she heard noises from the basement, whispers, and the sound of something moving. She stayed locked in her childhood bedroom, the same room where Danny once slept beside her. At 3:13 a.m., the door creaked open by itself. She grabbed a flashlight and stepped out, drawn by the faint sound of a child humming. It led her back to the crawl space. She knelt down, shivering. From the darkness came a whisper. "Sarah?" She froze. "Danny," she whispered. "You came back," the voice replied. I waited so long." She backed away, slamming the hatch shut. The voice continued to hum from below. The next morning, she contacted the local authorities. Excavation teams came, and what they found made national headlines. Beneath the house, wrapped in burlap, were the remains of a child, confirmed through dental records to be Danny McKinley. But the horror didn't stop there. Forensics also uncovered several other sets of remains. Some were decades old. The police theorized that Roger had been responsible for multiple child abductions. The story became one of the most horrifying in Appalachian history. Sarah inherited not just the house, but the dark legacy of her family. She moved away, changed her name, and tried to forget. But the nightmares continued. Every now and then, she'd receive letters with no return address. The last one she received simply read, "The roots are still hungry." In another part of the country, a man named Travis Hill was going through his late grandmother's things. She had passed peacefully in her sleep, or so they thought. In her attic, Travis found a trunk marked "Do Not Open." Naturally, curiosity got the better of him. Inside were bundles of letters and photographs from the 1940s. But what stood out were the family portraits, because in every single one, the same man stood in the background, wearing the same clothes and the same smile, decade after decade. He never aged. Travis asked his mother about the man, and she went pale. She told him the man was Uncle Eli, a name no one had spoken since before Travis was born. Supposedly, Eli went mad and was institutionalized, but the dates didn't add up. Travis was certain the man had been appearing in photos taken long after Eli had supposedly died. He took one of the photos to a local historian, who noted something strange. This same figure had appeared in other family portraits from different families in the region, always in the background, always uninvited. As Travis dug deeper, he learned about an old Appalachian legend, the man in the morning suit. Supposedly, he appears in family photos shortly before tragedies occur. Fires, suicides, murders. The man was said to be a herald of G.